Hey.
Hi, Stuart. Are you ready for me?
Hi, Brooke. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm stressed as always. Can you
You
tell?
stressed? Has it been one of those days already?
It's one of those, I want to say years, and it's only 2018, but it's like one of those like decades of
Yeah.
stress. I'm a stress ball. So, how are you today?
I'm fine, thanks. I'm fine. It's quite late here now. It's what 11 p.m. So it's nearly the end of my day. Um,
I know you're courageous for staying up so late to do
well,
this. Thank you.
it's fine. I must admit, I did mess up slightly because when you gave me the time that you were free, I'm thinking, yeah, that's about 7 p.m. my time, or 9 p.m. I can handle that. And then I realised it's 11. I thought, no, but I thought I'm fine. I'm fine. I've got
Are you sure you're awake?
coffee. I've got coffee.
Oh no, I'll keep you up. I'm very entertaining, Stuart. I'll keep you awake. You know that. Miss Vampy's here, look, just for your viewers.
Definitely.
I had to do it. I have to represent.
I wouldn't have had it any other way. I wouldn't have had it any other way. So how are you doing then? How's I mean, my God, you're busy. I mean, you're just here, there, and everywhere. It's like trying to tie you down is impossible. You
It
know.
is insane. Are we recording right now?
We're recording now, if that's okay. Yep, yep.
Hi, everyone. Now you know. Now you know. I'm talking about how stressed I am all the time. But Stuart's right. Again, thank you so much for having me on. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this so late your time.
Thank
I'm
you.
envious. I wish I were there. I have to admit, for you and all the viewers, that my new obsession is Outlander. Oh my goodness.
What season?
Please tell me watch it.
What season are you on? Yeah, you.
I finished them, but I
Oh,
did like
season three.
my fiance
Yeah,
did like a serious binge watch. So, but everyone kept telling me I would love it. I must watch it. I must watch it,
yeah.
and I kept putting it off and putting it off. And we binge watched end of last year, I would say, all of them, and I am obsessed. And it just makes me want so much to come visit Scotland and to
Well,
come to the UK
at the
and to
moment, it's
oh
cold. It's cold. You wouldn't want to be here now. I mean, we've had snow and we've had a couple of storms recently in the wind. Because I'm up on the northeast of Scotland, and the worst that we get is like the wind that comes and it kills everything. So maybe LA would be better for the weather at the moment. I think.
well, it's about pushing 80 degrees. Look at me. Look at me. I'm in next to nothing. No surprise. That's the norm for me. For Ms. Campy here, right? Like I am in short sleeves. It's like 78 degrees right now, and
Oh,
it's getting later in the day,
I'm so
so it's always
jealous.
beautiful. I may not love the people all of the time or the business in Hollywood all of the time, but
Yeah.
I love the weather all of the time.
So, how did you get into the business then? I mean, originally in terms of acting, how did you? What was the first things?
So I was a very confused child. I was a very shy child. My parents got divorced when I was only 2 years old. I grew up on the East Coast in Philadelphia, New Jersey, and New York,
Okay.
which is probably much more similar to London, let's say
Yeah,
New
yeah.
York, right? Than or the city of Philadelphia than Los Angeles. And so I grew up sort of obsessed with television, obsessed with movies. I actually, my sister wasn't born until my dad's second marriage a few years later. So I
Okay.
was sort of early on an only child. So I didn't have siblings around the house to, be active with.
Hmm.
So I was obsessed with TV. So that's really the true start of my passion. And I would, even as a young girl, I would write poems. My mom always had me in like writing courses. So I would write poems, which then later like led me to author books and
Yeah.
to write screenplays, right? And really early on, I would sit by the TV sometimes on a Saturday night and talk to the characters as if I were on the show, truly, which you could say is cuckoo
No,
on one
no.
hand.
I still do that. It's okay. I
You
still
do,
do
me too, me too.
that.
You have to. It's fun. So I knew very early on. I think it's how I dealt with my emotions. And
Okay.
I think it's still how I deal with my emotions and my emotional, whether it's upsets, whether it's joy, always. somehow it involves, or I turn to the arts and
Yeah.
creativity. So I was really a dramatic child, obsessed with vampires. I was an 80s girl growing up, so I loved all the 80s horror films.
Yeah.
And that was, my big thing. So then cut to professionally, took courses in college, minored in theater. I was going to be a theater major, and I ended up getting persuaded to use my intelligence instead and to go to law school.
Okay.
So I was going to do that, and then I went, what am I doing to please everyone else and based on everybody else's standards? I know my dream and my passion in this lifetime is to be an actress.
Yeah.
And I just left everything. I went right to New York at 22 and landed my first I should say, because I did have paying jobs in theater prior to that. I did summer theater and equity theater all over the U.S.,
Yeah.
all through college and stuff. And then my big gig was when I went right to New York, and a month in was blessed to land Tony and Tina's wedding, the mobster comedy wedding, off-Broadway, equity theater contract. I did that show, 7 shows a week for 3 years straight, and that was the beginning of the beginning. And got a great agent. It's amazing what agents will do when you're bringing in kerching, when you're bringing in the money, Stuart.
Yeah.
So that was my first real introduction. I didn't have family in the business. I really thought I think my parents thought, oh, she'll go and have fun for a year or two in New York, and then who knows, then she'll go to law school. And it just didn't happen because I got so blessed. I was making a living acting for 4 years in New York until I moved to LA. So here I am.
So you moved to LA, was it just purely you want to get into films? Was that the reason to move across? You've done the theatre, and films was going to be like the next stepping stone?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So actually, when I was in New York, I was introduced to the nitty gritty. And I think this is where like New York and we'll say London have a lot in common, from the theater to the training to right, the nitty gritty, like indie films. I mean, some of my favorite independent films are British films. And so they have that raw, where not everyone has to be Hollywood beautiful. It's about the talent. It's about the character work, as an actor. And so I was very fortunate early on to land about a good handful of those edgy independent films. And I'm talking back when like Swingers came about and the Brothers McMullen, and we're talking a long time ago. And I'm talking like the old Miramax movies like Shakespeare in Love that I love so much, right? The artistic, real dramatic or comedic, like the Philip Seymour Hoffman and Sam Rockwell days when they were first starting out in New York. Those were my like people around me at all the parties in New York, and Liev Schreiber, who's Ray Donovan now. So I was doing those edgy indies and going to all the film festivals. We were at Sundance Film Festival every year and so on and so forth. And then when I started auditioning for TV, a lot of sitcom stuff in New York, which then brought me out to audition for TV in LA. And they say, and I was having some success at it, at least I was like screen testing, I was making it pretty far.
Yeah.
And they say, go while you're still young. I was young, I was in my early to mid 20s. They said, go while you're still young and give it a shot. And so I knew I'm very fair and reasonable, sometimes too hard on myself and self-critical, but I'm also very reasonable with, I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses, I know my place in this industry, and I think it's why I've sustained here for so long. And I think that, and I'm sharing that for your viewers to really listen to, because I was very clear that I sang and danced a little, but I was not good enough to do the real theatrical productions, musical Broadway shows. So that wasn't going to be my lot in life. And then the indie films seemed to be very receptive of me. But then my dream really, I got very clear, was to do television. And television really was 15 years ago when I came here in Hollywood. Now we know it's all over the world and especially all over the US. But it was in LA. So it was a natural progression for me. My agents were all on board. They were pushing, when you're young, and I had a lot of doors open. So I came to LA, and a lot of my friends who were successful working writer, actor, directors in New York had already made that natural transition because they wanted to do television and bigger studio pictures. Yeah. So it was so natural. I came here, I had a million friends already. I was very fortunate, but that's because I had an incredible situation and experience in my early 20s in New York that I wouldn't trade for anything.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're a scream queen. That's that's the kind of. Does that term? Do you like the term scream queen? Because I've talked to some actors that don't like that term. How do you view that term, scream queen?
That's a horrific question, Stuart. I like it, and I will be honest. You can say it. You can say it here because everyone will tell you I'm a straight shooter, right?
Yeah.
So I speak the truth, and hopefully I never hurt anyone in the mix. But I speak the truth, and I've heard that a lot on a lot of interviews now. And first and foremost, I'm not saying this to blow smoke to the horror community or the sci-fi community, but I feel very blessed to have that title. I embrace it just like I embrace award-winning actress, just like I embrace producer and author and Ms. Vampy. They are titles that are all part of my brand in this business. And the sooner people realize that there is a business to the creative business and that a brand for yourself is relevant and important, then I think more people will have success with it. So, to answer authentically, like I just shared, I had done off-Broadway for years. I had actually performed on Broadway with big celebrities. I had done network sitcoms. I was just having a conversation with another Scream Queen friend over lunch today at a meeting, and we were saying how, people don't know the bigger picture of it. But, all through my 20s, I, like I said, did all this stuff in all these indie films and went to Sundance every year and yada, 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 and did a lot of mobster movies. That was another big, genre for me and still is, and I love it. And no one knew who I was. And then I swear to you, I do this one. They wrote the script in 2004 after I'd just gotten back from Sundance 04, and the original Saw had come out. And my producing partners back in New York wanted to do a feature and wanted me to be their LA liaison, and I had just moved here. And so I said, I'm in, but here's what we're going to do. I'm a visionary, and I'm telling you, this psychological horror thing, mystery horror thing is going to be hot. You watch. Yeah. Let's write a script for me, a feature for me to star in. I'll help raise the money and package it. We will surround me with named actors because I wasn't known at all, even as a scream queen then. And that's what will happen. So we did this film titled Polycarp with, rest his soul, Oscar-nominated Charles Durning from Dog Day Afternoon.
Oh, God, Charles Durning, yeah. I remember Charles Durning,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked with, and I'm so proud to say this, and I brag about it, but, I've worked with some veteran greats, which we'll get into as we go. Yeah. And the other star of the film was Michael Pare from Eddie and the Cruisers, Streets of Fire.
Yeah.
Amazing human being. I love him to this day. And some TV stars, and we packaged this little film. We shot on 35mm film. We actually shot this film in January of 2000. We started 2006 and went into 2007. So we're talking 11 years ago now. Yeah. That's when I became a scream queen. So long story long, of course, what ended up happening was we were going to do this film. And so I said, we're going to surround me with names. I'll be the brunette female lead. We'll cast a blonde female lead. When you don't own the project, and here's the negative, but I like to end on a positive. When you don't own a project, you don't have the power or the final say. So my partners chose to go a bit of a different way and put additional full frontal nudity, which got us an unrated, wonderful, lovely women, but people who had done some X-rated films and what have you. And so it kind of lost its cachet of a smart mystery thriller and kind of went in a different direction. So again, here's the negative. So they changed the title of the film from Polycarp to Kinky Killers. To this day, I get fan mail thinking that I'm on the cover, the busty gal with the latex is not me, I swear. But anyway, it's a stock photo. So that's the weirdness of it.
Yeah.
The positive, and like I said, I always end on a positive. No one knew who I was, even after doing Broadway and network sitcoms. All of a sudden, all these people I'm getting fan mail, and they're like, but you're the new It Scream Queen, and you're the new It indie horror actress that we love. And I'm like, whoa, okay, I am. So my manager at the time, I remember, calls and says, you need to get to the office. Well, I think poor Charles Durning and I are like, okay, we have a title on our resume now called Kinky Killers. Broadway, the Kinky Killers. Okay, so moving it on, I'm like, okay, they're like, come to the office now. I think I'm getting let go from my management agency. I think they're going to drop me. And lo and behold, there's a stack of fan mail this high sitting on the desk and a stack of paperwork of phone calls they have to return asking how much I cost to bring Brooke Lewis, the new It Scream Queen, to the horror conventions, to the horror and sci-fi genre conventions as a guest. So at this point in time, I'm like, oh my gosh, well then, if this is what my calling is, if this is my moniker, if this is how they're titling me now, the new It Scream Queen, then I am going to embrace it at 30 years old, and I'm going to really do what I can to be a Scream Queen. And like I've said it at the Spike TV Scream Awards several times and everywhere else, because I try to, whatever I do, I try to keep it at a level.
Yeah.
And whatever my choices are in life as an actress, and I've done some stuff, but like I'm proud of every bit of it because I feel like I made the right choices for me in that moment.
Yeah.
And so to finally end it, I went, okay, then I'm going to be a Scream Queen. I'm going to do smart films with smart roles. I'm not, I'm going to make it work for me.
Yeah.
And I always say to this day, a Scream Queen is a powerful, sexy actress in the horror genre. And I own it. I rock it. It's on my social media bio. And I am proud to be a Scream Queen. And I think that when I look at some of my favorite Scream Queens in, history, you look at Jamie Lee Curtis, you look at Adrienne Barbeau, the veteran greats, Suze Lanier Bramlett from the original Hills Have Eyes is like my kindred spirit, one of my dearest friends.
Yeah,
right? Dee Wallace. These are all my friends now. It's crazy. And so I look at these women who I admired as a child, and they all had network sitcoms and major hit movies, E.T. and Suze was Bambi, Barbarino's girlfriend, and Welcome Back Kotter. And I'm like, oh yeah, I aspire to have that career, and I'm good with it.
Well, that's great because the horror genre and the sci-fi genre as well. They tend historically, certainly not maybe as much these days, but historically they've been looked down upon, I think, and they've been ridiculed in some quarters with those that have taken part, but also the fans as well. And I know that horror fans and sci-fi fans, and I'm one of them, sometimes can be a wee bit passionate about, the stuff. And I would assume that the reactions that you've had have been mostly positive. Have there been any negatives to this sort of career that you've got, in terms of being a Scream Queen? What's the reaction of fans been usually at things like the cons and that sort of stuff?
That's a great question, and it'll be a long answer. What I find interesting, we can delve into it more if you want to later, because now that I've done, and I know we're going to definitely discuss sci-fi, for your fans and for a lot of mine now, and I'm so blessed and grateful, and, we can shout out to the brilliant Neil Johnson, who I've gotten to work with so many times now, who I know has been on your show.
Yeah, and Neil's given me a question to ask you as well, so I'll come to that in a wee bit.
These are, my people, and so here's the thing, I've learned, and I can say this now because I feel like it's wisdom from experience. The horror fans and the sci-fi fans are very different. They're both diehard. This is just my humble opinion. They're both diehard, and they're both incredibly passionate. I find sci-fi fans, and I say this with love because I love my sci-fi fans, I find sci-fi fans to be a bit snobbier. We can say that, right?
Yeah. I would totally agree.
Whereas, because I find the sci-fi, and Neil and I have talked about this, you can look at Neil and he comments, he gets, we get trash sometimes. I feel like the sci-fi fans are a bit snobbier. They, I don't want to say more intellectual, but come from a more scientific perspective, I think. And so there's a level of supreme intelligence with that, honestly. Yeah. And I find, so they're the first ones to nitpick the littlest things that they catch to the eye, right? Yeah, right? We got that so much with the starships. Yeah. But the horror fans, bless them, because I don't know what I would do without them. They are truly the most loyal fans, and I know sci-fi fans are loyal too. But here's where the horror fans are incredible. They have supported me through the best of times, the worst of times, my best of films, my worst of films. Once they're hooked into you and they believe in you and they support you, they have supported my every move I have made, from not just to films. They will carry over they'll carry over to the other genres like my mobster movies. They'll carry over to stuff I do in TV. They will carry over to my books, everything I do. So the horror fans really are their own little community, and it's pretty extraordinary, and I feel so fortunate. And they are a huge community, just like sci-fi community is huge.
Yeah.
And then the two, right, tend to merge a bit, because I do find more and more that, especially when the supernatural themes started to get really popular in film and TV, they started to merge and mesh together even more.
Yeah.
So I think it's great, because in the future, moving forward in indie film and TV, I'm seeing more and more of that merging, and I think that the fans are going to come together too. So I think I just answered all of that, correct?
I think you did. I think you did. You talked about, so you were a fan of horror growing up, yeah? A fan of the classic horror stuff. I mean, for me personally, I always think the 70s, like the golden age of horror. So the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is my favourite film ever anyway. It's, the original one, 73, 74. You've got Halloween, you've got The Fog, you've got, oh God, so many from the 70s. 80s as well, great. If there's one part that you would like to have played in any of those films, which one would it have been, do you think?
It's such a tough one, but I loved, I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, by the way. There's so many. I would have to say, anything that Jamie Lee Curtis did. I was a huge fan for some reason of the original Prom Night, and I just thought it had a lot of heart, right? So there's so many, like Carrie. And I think I would have played the Nancy Allen role, not.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Or the Piper Laurie. Well, I'd be way too young even now. But I am a huge, and you've probably seen me tweet this a lot and stuff, I am a huge Brian De Palma fan.
Yeah.
So to me, a lot of those more, and it's something I aspire to do more in my career, and I've done a lot of short films like this, and maybe a couple of features, but I'd like to do more. I'm very much into the mystery thriller. I love Hitchcock, and so the role I would have just devoured would have been Nancy Allen in Blowout, which was also, I think, in the 70s. I saw it later.
Yeah.
But there's so many, and anything that Adrienne Barbeau did, from The Fog to Creepshow.
Oh, Creepshow's great. Creepshow's one of my favourites. Creepshow's just. I watched that just only a few weeks ago. Again, I haven't seen it for so long, and she's great. I mean, she's. I did an email interview with her a couple of years ago now. I haven't done one of these. I really do want to try and get her on one of these, because I think I was a little bit in love, I think, with Adrienne Barbeau for quite a few years growing up. But the Fog. Oh God, I love The Fog. But yeah, I think that the contemporary sort of horror is in a real good place at the moment now, compared to what the golden age, whenever that was. The first film I think I saw you in, was Slime City Massacre.
I knew you were going to say that.
Honest to God, loved it. That must have been about 7 or 8 years ago now. What a fun!
We shot that summer of 2009,
right.
And it was released in 2010, and then it had a re-release through Camp Motion Pictures just last December of 2016.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. And you know what's so funny? Again, and I always said, and I'm going to be very honest, I was like, okay, I had become a scream queen by doing, like I said, the thrillers, the Polycarps, and then the Eye Murders that Robbie Bryan directed, that I got to star in with Candyman, Tony Todd, and Billy D. Williams for all the sci-fi fans, Lando Calrissian, and Frank Grillo, and Margaret Colin, and Terry Colombino, and Gabrielle Anwar. My goodness, talk about an incredible, British actress. These amazing actors, and William Forsythe. So you're talking about some veteran greats again. Yeah. And so when I started to do those films, and even the lower budget ones like Lazarus Apocalypse that Thomas Churchill directed, they were all sort of Hitchcockian mystery thrillers, sort of. And that's my jam, right? That's my thing. And so that's why I love the Brian De Palma films and the Blowouts. And, you'll come to see eventually my short film Psychotherapy that Stacey Lynn Wilson wrote and directed for me, who's one of my best friends, and she's so talented. And it's so De Palma. It's like our homage to De Palma. And so those are my things. So I always said, well, now that I'm a scream queen, quote unquote, I'm going to be very careful what I choose. And again, I don't judge anyone else, but for me, I have to be inspired. The roles have to speak to me. I like empowered, female empowerment, and that's a theme you'll all see through all my roles I do. Yeah. So long story long, again, when I had broken out as a scream queen, and then in 2008, after we did Eye Murders, And Greg Lamerson reached out to me and he said, I've been hearing a lot about you. And he said, would you read Slime City Massacre? I'm about to shoot my original was Slime City in 1988.
Yeah, 20 years, wasn't it? Yeah.
20 years. It's my 20-year reunion coming up. And we have some financiers that want to do a sequel to Slime City Massacre. It's based on a comic book. It's sort of, because I don't really consider it horror. It's horror, supernatural, a little sci-fi and action.
I would agree. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so he sends me the script. I had not seen the original, but I certainly had heard of Greg Lamerson. He's very well known for many, many years back in New York and as a brilliant writer. So I said, send me the script. So I read it. He let me look at the roles that were available, and I actually chose the role of Nicole. And so this was going to be like a $100,000 film. This was going to be a very low budget thing, lowest budget I had ever worked on, I think, since New York when I was like 22.
Yeah.
And I was, and he said, we're shooting in Buffalo, New York. And I read it, and like I went first again with Greg, and I love him to pieces, and he drives me bananas. I'm like, Slime City Massacre, so I think of the title, and I'm like, oh, I don't know about this one. And I read the script, and it's so smart, and I think the viewers will agree with me that if you really, as campy and over the top as it is, and the kills are off the charts, crazy, right? If you know the subtext of the picture and you are able to understand beneath the camp, it is about gentrification, Canada versus the U.S., politics, the government, the poor, the drug addiction, the homeless, and the list goes on. Debbie Rochon, who's the Scream Queen extraordinaire, who I just love both personally and professionally. She's so damn talented, but also she's such a good person. We've done a couple films together now. And so she was on the film. But like there's one scene, I mean, she has a whole conversation about abortion. So it really touches on moral issues. And I'm like, this is actually quite smart. This is not what I expected to read in the screenplay.
Yeah.
And I was hooked.
I mean, the dialogue is great. I mean, I haven't seen it for a couple of years now. It is a few years since I've seen it. But I remember laughing my socks off at it's just so funny. And yeah, it's over the top. It's camp, like you say. The violence and the goo and the gore. It's there, but it's just fun. It's got the themes there, but it's just fun. It's just a good time. Is that one of your favourite roles? Or what would your own role be that you've done? Your favourite role that you've done for whatever reason it might be.
I thank you for asking. I have so many, so it's so hard on, and I'm going to be honest for me to say, like, I'm so grateful for all of my roles. I'm so grateful to have gotten to play a lead in a film like I Murders and to star opposite Tony Todd. That was extraordinary. And I loved Slime City Massacre because I'm so grateful it won me the B Movie Golden Cob Award for Scream Queen of the Year 2010, which further put me on that indie film Scream Queen map. So that was extraordinary. I honestly, like, I love Rosella in the mobster film Sinatra Club that I was one of many producers on and got to star in. Again, a supporting role with Danny Nucci from Titanic, Jason Gedrick from Iron Eagle, Joey Lawrence, Ellen Hallman from Spartacus, an extraordinary cast, a bigger budget.
Yeah.
But I love my role playing the mobster hooker. I play a lot of hookers because you guys see the picture. I'm trying to, like, move on from that. But I will tell you, in all honesty, and I absolutely love, and we can talk about it later, but I'm just coming off of, as you know, up to Thanksgiving of last year, I'm coming off of an indie film titled Half New Year, which we can talk about if we get into it later. I don't know if the sci-fi fans would
go
appreciate
for it. No, go for it, yeah.
Yeah, it's a dramedy, and it's incredible. And I have to say, I am so in love. And of course, this is new. I'll probably tell you, Stuart, that every time we talk and I've just done a new film, that'll be my favorite role. But like, but I play Pam Zaluka. She's from South Philly, and it is so fun, so fun. My all-time favorite, and I know I'm biased, is always going to be Ms. Vampy, and Ms. Vampy is my alter ego, my comedic mobster, Brooklyn vampire, right? Well, I'm going to keep jumping around, and hopefully we'll get to all of them. We'll talk about her later, too. But I have to say, my two all-time favorite roles in the world are from two short films. And the viewers will see, too, that those are the two films. And not because my ego and not because they won me Best Actress at, like, 40 film festivals, but because I chose, and because I had two extraordinary writer-directors, both Roger Scheck, who wrote and directed Sprinkles for me, which is a 10-minute short drama, dark drama thriller.
Yeah.
And then most recent this year, we hit the ground running in 2017 with Stacey Lane Wilson's Psychotherapy that I got to star in with Ricky Dean Logan from Nightmare on Elm Street series,
wow. Yeah,
and from Back to the Future 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So those are two, and of course I want that, it made sense, the whole thing, that we got into so many festivals, both genre and outside genre, mainstream festivals too. These are two 10-minute shorts that I just got to be so raw and so dramatic and so intense. And like I said, with Stacey's film, the Brian De Palma homage, and I got to play, like, both of them I would say are in the woman scorned category.
Right, okay.
And so they're just what I love. They're both sort of the villainess, but in a vulnerable way, and I love tapping into those super vulnerable emotions. And so I really love, like, it's funny because everybody wants to cast me as like the ditzy hooker hairdresser, the fide monster, the porn star, and they're fun, and I love those roles too. But the ones that really speak to me and inspire me, especially as I'm getting older as an actress and as a woman, I want to do the dark, deep, layered roles. Some of them are charactery, but dark and intense and dramatic. And I want to play the villain. I want to be that villainess that just, in every film I ever do. So there's about that.
Has there ever been a role, you say you choose your roles carefully, has there ever been a role where you've thought, and you don't need to name it necessarily, where you think you just, from the moment you took it, you kind of think, no, this is just the worst decision I've ever made? Has there been a role where you think, oh, what a mistake this was, but you've got to go through with it, I guess?
That's a great question, and I want to answer for the viewers honestly again. Not really.
Yeah.
I'll give a couple examples, but honestly, not really, because that's how careful and clear I am with the choices I make. Like, there was a film that came to me that ended up being a very, very popular horror film. I don't want to say names. And I loved the writer, director, people that were working on it. And the script came to me years back through my manager, and they said, they're interested in you. One of the lead actresses had dropped out, and they're interested in you for this role. Read it, tell us what you think. And albeit an incredible group to work with, a very successful horror group to work with, loved everything about them. They seemed very professional. I read the script, tons of nudity for this character, which I don't do, and like an orgy scene, but not like a Slime City Massacre funny orgy scene, it just way too gratuitous for me. And so part of my brain's going, oh, damn, like, I could do this and it would give me, this, but I had to follow my heart. So I've had a lot of those situations. There was another one with an A-list TV star, that I got an offer years ago when I was younger, and to play another hooker. And again, I mean, A-list star, like, your head would spin. And they made a direct offer to me, but it was 3 scenes with the hooker in the hotel room, and she had full frontal, and it was very sexual, and it just did not resonate with me and where I am choosing, always have chosen to go with my career. So I passed on it, and I needed the money. Oh my gosh, I needed the money so desperately, Stuart, and I had to pass because it has to inspire me. It has to resonate with me. Then to answer on the opposite end, like, there are a couple projects. There's one that I did take, and I knew in my gut, I just felt the red flags were there early on, and I knew in my gut that the people involved were talking a good game, and we got this, and the budget was going to be so big, and I ended up doing it, and it wasn't the worst experience ever. I always try to find good in things, but it was definitely below the standard of what I'm used to and what I would commit to again. So you push along, I do my job. I'm a professional, and you do your job no matter what the circumstances are, unless it's something that is, you feel violated, or, I'm not down with that. If there are circumstances that are beyond my comprehension, I get on the phone right away with my reps, my agents, managers, and I'm out, you know? So those situations, so I continued, but I let them know my true feelings. I did. I don't keep things in. I'm like, this is not what I signed up for.
Yeah.
So situations like that. And I totally forgot to talk about, on a positive note, one of my other favorite roles is absolutely Starris from the Starship series, the Neil Johnson. I forgot about that one because we started talking about other films, but Starris was so much fun for me, and Neil and EJ had to teach me on the spaceship it was like playing video games the entire film shoot, because I had no idea, for all the sci-fi fans out there. Yes, I'm an idiot. I didn't even, you think it looks so easy. I literally had EJ De La Pena and Neil Johnson had to give me lessons on how to, I was the fighter pilot, Starris. I was this young fighter pilot. I had never done this before. I had done sci-fi before, but not flying a spaceship, a starship, no less. And I'm like, it was like joysticks and, brilliant Neil Johnson. He's got this. I'm like, OMG. And I had to literally take a lesson. So now I have mad respect for all the TV series out there that are sci-fi who are like, these people, like, that's a lot. That's like a double job. Because you better know your character, and you also are going to have to figure out how to, like, maneuver all the lights. Yeah.
You never think about these sort of things, when you see these people on the thing, yeah, you've got to pull the right levers and you've got to do this crap, you've got to make sure you look authentic and everything, yeah? You mentioned Miss Vampy, or Miss Vampy. I've been ODing on that the last week or so, because I knew I was speaking to you, so I thought I'm gonna watch as much of this as I can. It's it's so cool, it's so good. I mean, for those that don't know anything about Ms. Vampy, explain the concept and how did you got into it as well? How did it come around?
So after, again, doing a million things and people not knowing me, then breaking out in horror, and I was so fortunate that I really, once I broke out as a scream queen in horror, it just hit the ground running, and things were coming to me left and right. And I had been blessed to do this big vampire photo shoot with a Oscar-winning effects company here in Hollywood, and they made me the $5,000 veneer fangs, and we did this photo shoot, and all these people, magazines, I was in all these horror and sci-fi magazines, and everybody wanted the pictures. So I had this marketing company in 2008 who came to me and said, we want to take a meeting. We want you to be like Brooke Lewis, vampire goddess. And they wanted me to push the boobs up even more and, sexify everything out. And I took the meeting, of course. And I wasn't, again, here's the stubborn in me. I wasn't inspired. And they even talked about maybe doing some nudity with stuff, like a playmate. I'm like, listen, there are way younger, hotter chicks in Hollywood all over the place that'll show their boobs. No, this is not my thing. So I passed on the deal. Plus, on the other end of it, they also wanted my production company, Philly Chick Pictures, which is me and my partners and investors, to produce the whole thing, finance the whole thing. They wanted to do web series. They wanted to do apps. And at the time, there was zero success yet with web series and apps, because this is 2008, you guys. This is 10 years ago. Right. So, but I'm a visionary, and I got on board, and I told my partners at the time that I said, I think they're onto something with this web series. I want to try it. So, long story long again, everybody was saying to me on all the shoots and stuff, and I'd have the fangs, and they'd say, you're so vampy, you're such a vixen, you're such a vamp. And I went, if I'm going to do this, it has to inspire me so I can inspire others. It has to make sense. It has to fit into the brand I want to go in the direction for. And so I was like, I looked at the body of my biggest work at that point in time in 2008, and it was now horror, comedy, and mobster movies. And Ms. Vampy was born. So she is a comedic mobster Brooklyn vampire with a heart of gold. So we did the first web series, and I'll tell you guys, Stuart, I was scared to death. I was like, okay, wrote up the press release. We filmed at a studio. I spent a fortune from my production company, and I was like, okay, I've got this incredible horror fan base now. I'm either going to totally piss them off and let them down with this comedic, newer Elvira style character, like the nanny or Mona in My Cousin Vinny, right? Or they're going to love it. So I'm going to sink or swim. And lo and behold, I remember the very first webisode we launched was on a Friday, sent the press release out a few days before, and within 1 or 2 hours, we had 16 film sites, indie film sites, horror sites covering us, and everyone's like, this is amazing. I will thank you, God. I was so fortunate. So it kind of took on a life of its own very quickly. We wrote a screenplay, but And then I was getting offers to do other things again, a little more adult-like. And I went, again, if I'm going to be this new iconic, and I say that humbly, sort of horror character, I want her to have meaning. I want her to have a greater purpose. And I knew that I had a greater purpose. So we wrote a screenplay called Vamp It Out, which is now developed into a TV series that's in talks at TV networks.
Okay.
And it's about living your dreams. It's about a comedic mobster, Brooklyn vampire, Ms. Vampy, who comes from Brooklyn, leaves her mobster family to Hollywood to be like the next Paula Abdul pop singer. And it's kind of like, it's so great for parents too, because it's very much about, you have this vision, you have these dreams, and sometimes they don't pan out exactly as we visualize them, as we set them out to be, but you get something bigger and better in return instead, So she ends up putting together a teenage girl band of the underdogs, the ethnic girls, kind of like a Cheetah Girls kind of thing, but that's something I'm committed to in Hollywood. I think that there needs to be more, ethnic roles and more things that aren't so gender specific and blah, 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 So that's something that really inspired me, was to find these underdog teenage girls and put them together in a band, and like then Ms. Vampy falls in love with the dad and the whole thing. It's very The Nanny meets like Cheetah Girls meets like High School Musical. Yeah. So it's all music and stuff like that. Stuff I love, because if I'm going to get onto a project and it's going to be maybe the next 10, 20 years of my life, I better love it in order to make the audience happy. That's how I feel. So that's how that came to pass. And then, long story long, we hit a bunch of walls, and this is interesting again. Hollywood, we were pitching the screenplay and the TV series, and people would say to me, literally, so you're like a scream queen. You're like a horror star. You're like the new Elvira. You're this horror icon. We are not understanding how you could then be a positive role model for teenage girls. So, So talk about judgment. So I was hitting wall after wall. I ended up producing Ms. Vampy's Tween Talk, Teen Talk, and In Between Talk. My talk show for teen girls, hired a cast of teen girls, and we did a talk show touching on like all these issues that teens deal with, to make a point to Hollywood and the executives that this is how we can do a great positive message job. So then that ended up to be an award-winning TV pilot and web series as well. And it just goes on and on and on. And here we are 10 years later, and I am still in development and in TV development hell with our show.
I mean, the web series is just, it's so cool. I mean, I was watching it the other night. I was watching a couple of the episodes. There was one where you're giving out relationship advice. So there was one where you should you have sex on the first date, I think was one. And I think, should you date the ex-partner of a friend? I think that's another one that I saw. And I love the line when you come out with something like, vamps before tramps, it's like, it just like killed me, it's like, and it's funny, but it's not the sort of thing that I would necessarily watch myself in terms of, advice and relationship stuff. It's not the sort of thing I would normally like, but you add such a charm and sort of like authenticity to it, and it's just funny as well, And
that's the issue you're referencing now, Ms. Vampy's Love Bite.
Yeah.
So once I became a board certified life coach and dating coach and started my Be You and Be Fearless life coach company and business. See, all my brands have to like incorporate and come together. Yeah. So then I had all these producers and directors that coming to me saying, what can we do with Ms. Vampy? I said, if you want to do something with positive messages, I'm in. So then we took that whole part of my crazy life and company, and now I'm board certified. So like I was totally legit. That's when all these unscripted and reality shows started coming to me as well, and because I had the credentials. Yeah. And so then Matt Robb came to me and Stacey Lane Wilson, who also directed that, and we did Ms. Vampy's Love Bites, like you're saying, which gives love advice and dating advice, which is hilarious for teens to adults. So I've like run that gamut. It's crazy. Like everything we've done with this character, including published a book, Ms. Vampy's Teen Talk. There's a lot of power in your choices, which is for teen girls, which just won, if I may, the grand prize. I don't know if you saw me tweet it, but the grand prize at the Halloween Book Festival. Thank you so much, Bruce and Debbie and the crew. Nice. So for young adult books. I've won 6 awards now for Ms. Vampy's Teen Talk for young adult books as an author, just like my coaching company and my business and my other. So, and I'm wearing one of my shirts. I got to shout out this thing just has gone wild. I mean, we've branded across the world, across the board. I've got my shirts with Metal Babe Mayhem that we launched 2 years ago almost at Halloween, a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So we have all the Ms. Vampy line. I also have a Scream Queen line. I also have a Hot Mess line. So that's that. So everybody, you can see your little Ms. Vampy shirts here with Bill Bronson's, this incredible pinup designer. I mean, I am so blessed. So I have Allison Metal Babe Mayhem, Allison Cohen. She runs Metal Babe Mayhem and Metal Babe Music. So she's my partner with my clothing brand. So also, I'm just talking about Ms. Vampy and how much it's crazy how it's just branched out.
Yeah.
Tosh Cosmetics, we branded a little bit later, I would say a year and a month ago or so. We launched last year, January, I think it was. We did a Ms. Vampy Girl makeup and skincare line. So Tosh Cosmetics. Everybody can find all this, not to plug myself, but if you
go for it. No, you go for it.
Yeah, if you go to BeYouAndBeFearlessLifeCoach.com, or if you go to MsVampy.net or BrookeLewis.com, you can see a plethora of all the stuff. And also for all my media and for all my people and for your viewers and listeners and watchers, if you go to Metal Babe Mayhem, put in at checkout code hashtag all caps Brooke BROOKE 16, then you can get 20% off. And if you do on Tosh Cosmetics, hashtag Brooke 16 as well, I better double check that, then you can do 15% off.
Okay, all right.
So it might be 17, I have to check. I think it's 16 still. So yeah, anyway, go to my website, you'll find everything. So Tosh Cosmetics, you get 15% off of anything that are my lines and Ms. Vampy Girl, whatever. So for all the teens and all the moms that might be listening to this, go check it out. So we have everything. I mean, there's nothing other than having like my own wine, which I'm visualizing for next. I want a Ms. Vampy wine, damn it.
I was going to say, so do I. I'll go for the Miss Vampy wine, nice red wine. That'd be so cool.
Thank you.
Blood red wine. Did you get any criticism in the beginning of Miss Vampy because you mentioned Elvira, and obviously she's an icon, and Cassandra Peterson and all that. Did you get any criticism from people, or people saying, "Oh, you're just you're trying to do an Elvira type thing"? What was the reaction like from certain people about that?
So not so much that. The horror, again, I was so blessed. The horror community and genre embraced me and with open arms, and I will be forever grateful the rest of my career, no matter what genres I act in. So it wasn't so much from them. And I think at the time, there hadn't been like an Elvira iconic host in a long time, and also I think because my Ms. Vampy's so unique in that she talks like, she's from Brooklyn, so she's got talks like this with her bangs in with a lisp and it's so unique, and also I think the positive messages were so powerful.
Well, that's very different, isn't it? Yeah, the positivity, the kind of relationship stuff, everything's slightly different. Never been done like the way that you do.
Never been done before. And I think that on one hand, it's amazing because it's so unique. On the other hand, it scares Hollywood away. It scares some people away. I will share with you that I did get flack for the teen talk show.
Right.
And I did get flack. Oh, yes. And when I first launched my coaching business, which was in end of 2011, beginning of 2012, after I'd taken off a year and gone back to school yet again to become a board-certified life coach, right? And so I remember this is great, and again, it just shows that like people are so judgmental, and I try to fight that so much. Like, so when I launched number one, we would get comments a lot and stuff on YouTube about, well, that's really great that you're giving positive messages to teen girls and you're like some role model, except you got big boobs and tons of cleavage and you're showing your cleavage, and why are you wearing so much makeup if you're trying to talk about inner beauty?
Yeah.
And I have answers ready to launch for all of them, because my rebuttal is, why can't you be a sexy, powerful, strong, glamorous woman, whether you're in Hollywood, Scotland, the UK, I don't care, New York, it doesn't matter, Connecticut, wherever. Why can't we be powerful, sexy, beautiful women and still be intelligent, still be on a positive mission with a message? That's what I want to know. And that's the thing that probably upsets me the most. And it's something I've battled my whole life. my whole life, whether it's an actress, whether it's a coach in the public eye. I still do. I always will, and I'm okay with it now. So, people say that to you. Oh, because I do. I'm a glam girl. I love my makeup. I love my hair, my big hair. My boobs are real. Like, I don't care, but I'll show them. I'm proud, and I'm voluptuous. I'm ethnic, and all those things are a recipe for disaster in Hollywood. It's changing, so that's good.
I was going to say there's a huge. Sorry to interrupt you. Obviously there's a change with the bigger picture. We don't need to name any names, obviously, but there's been a lot of publicity over the last year or so now with a lot of the stuff that's been going on historically. Are things changing now? Because I think what's happening in Hollywood, to be honest, is just symptomatic of what goes on in the wider world in terms of how women are treated, particularly good-looking women, whatever it might be, with this thing by men in power. Is it really changing, or is it something that you think may take a lot longer to change? Because it has to, hasn't it? It's something that's been going on too long now.
Okay, so, and I'm always very careful when it comes to certain subjects like religion, politics, and the sexual harassment going on in Hollywood. Yeah. So here's what I have to say. On a positive note, I have to say, and I'll probably end with another positive note, but on a positive note, I think that where it is changing in the right direction is that women are stepping into more and more positions of power in the industry, in Hollywood, outside of Hollywood, in big businesses, at CEOs, CFOs, at corporations, at Fortune 500 companies around the world, around the globe, right? So that's a great thing. So have I experienced, I will share this, have I experienced sexual harassment and threats and touches and, propositions in Hollywood and in New York when I was young? Many, many times. Here's where, and I will just keep it to this, because I'm going to go probably in a reverse direction than you expect, because I'm so about girl power and female empowerment. I get frustrated when, again, I think it's really about humanity and people getting back to basics and do what you say what you do, make powerful choices, commit. I had one mentor, a female mentor, many, many years ago, who taught me many years ago, big filmmaker, and she said to me, you have to be one piece. I said, what advice would you give me when I first came to Hollywood? She said, you have to always be willing to walk. Yeah. And I never. Here's what pisses me off, and this is going to sound disempowering to women, but hear me out. Where I get frustrated are, and I won't name names, but these women, and I know, listen, the Weinsteins were the Weinsteins long before it came out. I first came up in this. I did a Miramax movie when I was in my early 20s in New York. Like, everybody knew, but everybody kept their mouth shut. Yeah. And what frustrates me is this. If it were me, and it has been me, and I'd probably be a lot more famous right now if I had given in. But if it were me and someone mistreated me or mishandled me on a film or whatever to the point of being really disrespectful, I mean, I think we have to have a sense of humor here too. Yeah. But being really disrespectful, handsy, or whatever, or came out naked, I would put him right in his place. And if that meant me losing the film, whether, that's the East Coast in me, whether it's sucker punch a guy in the face, right? Or rhetorically demolish him and say, if you ever whip it out of your pants again, I am going straight to the executive producers, blah, blah, or I'd walk off the film. Yeah. That's me. And I think that all of my friends in Hollywood and my female empowered, strong women in Hollywood, no role would be worth it to them to stay. What frustrates me is, and I think of one actress in particular who I think is a brilliant actress, Oscar winning, and what frustrates me is, you can say this now, but excuse me, darling, what happened when you claim that this went on for years with the Weinsteins, and yet it was acceptable for you to stay on and continue to do, 3 more films with those producers and directors so you could win awards? You didn't say anything then. Why are you saying it now? That's the only thing that frustrates me. Right. And I know that I have lost roles when I was younger. I think of a very big movie producer who I love to this day personally. We went on a few dates many, many years ago when I first moved here. I was in my, early mid-20s. And he drank a little bit much and invited me back to his mansion and had his assistant bring me up to his bedroom to watch a movie. And I went, okay, I'm going to go now. Like that. And then he actually respected that. And we became friends later, you know, like, but that's a choice I made. And has he ever put me in any of his big studio movies? No, but that's okay. Yeah. He knows where I stand. I know where he stands, and we're good. Like, so that's how I choose to live my life. And again, I'd probably be a lot more famous had I said yes to some of those opportunities, but I chose. And I'm perfectly imperfect. Trust me, I'm a hot mess. I wrote about it.
You're not the only one. We're all a mess in some way. We're all a mess in some way. Listen, I've got a couple of things I want to just ask you before we round up. I mentioned a couple of people. I spoke to saying that I was going to be speaking to you. And a couple of people that you know, and they sent a couple of messages. So I've got a couple of messages from Jasper Cole, who I know a little bit, who's such a nice guy. I mean, honestly, I spoke to him on one of these things a few weeks ago. I've known him for a few years now online, and we've chatted back and forth. He just said to say hello. And he said you've been on his radio show, you're on the red carpet a while back. Jasper's just a beautiful man, isn't he? Just, you know.
Oh, inside and out. And truly at the core, like, I've met a lot of people in my career in 20 years in Hollywood and New York, right? Yeah. He genuinely, and I won't say this about a ton of people, there's people I like, he at the core is the just coolest, kindest, has supported my career in every way for many, many years. I love seeing him. I love when I walk in, I see him at a lot of red carpet premieres and stuff. He's there, his winning smile. He just is how more people should be. And I mean be in a human sense, a spiritual sense, in Hollywood, that's for sure.
He's definitely authentic. I've got another one. Bill Oberst sent me a message as well. He basically said, well, I'll read what he said. I've got it on my iPad here. He says, he said, I love that woman, obviously you. She said, Brooke is a deep soul. Perhaps your listeners might enjoy hearing her thoughts on finding meaning and purpose in our lives, meaning apart and aside from the exterior trappings of material goods and appearance and life circumstance. I think she offers a unique perspective on this, both as a celebrity, as a human being. Please give her my love and respect. So, yeah, I mean, he's a great man as well, isn't he? You know,
I am so touched right now. You're gonna make me cry. I'm okay, so, and each person I can I'm glad you're sending me people I really genuinely like. Like, you know, each person I authentically can say, and Bill, let me give you a secret about Bill. So Bill and I
come on, give him some stuff on Bill.
Bill and I did a radio show together, and I hope he doesn't get mad at me for this. I love you, Bill, and I'm saying this because you're brilliant. We did a radio show together many years ago, and we had known of each other through the horror genre when I first broke out. And I remember us sitting in the waiting room, and he started talking to me about, he's like, oh, God, you're blowing up, and I'm so in envy and awe of your career. I'm like, my career? You're Bill Oberst, okay? Can we talk? So he's like, oh, no, but, you know, I know I'm doing indie films, and I'm doing, like, you know, I want to do this, and I want to do that. And I'm like, okay, we need to talk, because I literally, at a radio show in the waiting room, and I meant it with all my heart, and I still stand behind it, that man is one of the most talented actors I've ever seen.
He is so good, isn't he? So good.
And he doesn't know it. Stuart, here's the thing, and this is what I want to... Bill, he's still to this day, I don't think... maybe he does now. I haven't talked to him in a while, but he doesn't know it. He's the most... Again, like Jasper, Bill is so humble, has no idea how freaking talented he is, and he's genius. If I could, and hopefully I will one day, I'd cast him in anything. He is like an actor chameleon, and he's and we all are. I'm the most insecure actress on the planet. I own it. But like, he was so sweet, and like, I don't want to say insecure, but like, he knows not what he does. And Bill, if you get to watch this or listen to this, please know, and I mean this with all my heart, you are brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. He got to star in a film with one of my best friends, who's also a brilliant actor in Texas, Parrish Randall. They did Billy Pond's Circus of the Dead together, and which I only got to see clips of so far, so I'm waiting for that one. But even Parrish said it, he's like, Bill was an angel to work with. And that's what I think both I can say about Jasper and Bill, and I've heard and I've worked with Jasper, but never directly with Bill, but I've heard through the grapevine, just their graciousness, both of them, their attitudes on and off set. They are so humble and so talented and so gracious, and just,
it's like
delivers over and over.
Two nice guys playing the best bad guys. I mean, I've seen Bill play some really nasty pieces of work, but he's such a nice guy. Obviously he's
So
just
sweet,
acting. Yeah.
sweet.
The last one I've got from Neil Johnson. You mentioned Neil. I asked him a little while back because I said I was speaking to you. So basically, and I'll read what he said to you. Basically, I said, ask her about any dramas that have happened during the filming of Starship. And basically, what he wants to know is, how are your running skills? Because he said that you you had some problem running from aliens in high heels. Yeah.
Okay. So I love you, Neil. Okay. So that's hilarious. So he's actually referring to our first film we did together in 2011, which was Alien Dawn, which somehow, I don't know, still to this day, it might be under a different title now. I don't know. Ask Neil. But we did scenes that they were doing inserts, and then and then Neil had to go film something again overseas in the UK, and then like we never got the scenes in. I don't know what happened, but I'm in like one scene where I die very quickly on like an alien bomb hits me in the head, blows me up, whatever. So, but yes, I'm trying to run from the aliens, and I'm running, and Neil knows I'm itty bitty, and I wear 6-inch heels. If I'm like on set, I'm wearing like 6-inch boots, because typically I'm standing next to actors who are like 6'5", right? And so I was in these awesome boots that I'd gotten in New York, and Neil's like, well, now you need to run. I'm like, that far? I run, the boot, Stuart, the whole bottom of the boot falls off, falls apart. We're like crazy gluing. We're like wrapping the boot. Neil's like, oh my God, I'm going to buy those boots for you again when I go to the UK next. Like, it's so funny. So that's one. And then Starship, which again was truly, and I'm not just saying it because it's Neil, I beg him to hire me again soon. And I know he will, and I hope to get to work with him and that drop-dead gorgeous Tracy Birdsall, who's just amazing.
Yeah.
I got to go support their premiere too recently. And so they're just doing great things, those two. And those two, let me say this and give props, talented, work their asses off.
Yeah.
And that's how my friends roll. That's how my friends and my peers and the people in the industry that I connect with, who I connect with the most, they just work. They make good product. They make good product with sometimes very little and still pull it off. So that is a testament to what people are capable of. If you put your mind to it, if you put your hard work, grind it, you can produce great projects without millions of Hollywood dollars.
Yeah.
Anyway, so back to Starship. So that's an interesting one. And I loved being my little fighter pilot Staris. We had some drama, and I will never disrespect anyone or give names. So there was a veteran actress who I actually admire, think she's stunningly beautiful and so on and so forth. But it's amazing what I learned on that film, that people who are diehard about certain things, whether it be politics, religion, their convictions, should not bring it on to set. Like, I keep my personal stuff very separate from my professional business, right? Yeah. So, and this is probably only the second time ever to happen to me on a film. And so I had dialogue, which Neil wrote in the screenplay, in the script, and I am one of those actresses that goes word for word. I respect my writers, word for word. So I'm saying the lines as written, and this other actress, I think, didn't like blasphemy, or didn't like, there were too many F-bombs written, whatever. And my character was a mouthy, sassy chick, right? Like badass little fighter pilot, like a little Michelle Rodriguez type. And so I had some sassy lines, and I'm doing what I'm performing, and this other actress was not happy with me. She did not approve of my dialogue, which was written for me by Neil Johnson in the script. So she had a lot to say about it to me on set. That doesn't go well with me. I take the best direction ever. I beg my directors for more direction. I'm like, please direct me, because I am clueless and don't know what I'm doing. Like, I never trust myself as an actress, which is sad because I have great instincts, but I do my best, and sometimes I pull it off and sometimes I don't. And I'm like, direct me, beat me down, give me anything you can, make me a better actress, please. So Neil knows that. My directors know that. I'm like, give me more. I don't want that from another actor who is my peer in a scene. So that's only happened to me twice ever. So, of course, and I'm so sensitive. And again, I don't want to disrespect. This is a wonderful actress, by the way.
Yeah.
She's very, very good and very seasoned and very famous. And so that's that. But I did, once we finished, I went to Neil and I bawled my eyes out. I was crying back behind the set because I'm so sensitive. I'm like, and Neil and we had to talk it out and hug it out, and yeah, it was great, Craig. It was dramas, as he said. I love you, Neil. Can't wait to work with you again.
Well, he said, basically said he's always on your team. That he generally wrote this, said he's always on your team, and he did say as well, they didn't mind you dishing any dramas out about the films. He was quite happy for you to do that at all. So don't worry, you won't have offended anybody, and he's on your team. It's great.
Oh, listen. I know he is. we talk, but we have to be careful in public, you know. But we support each other. Neil and I are such dear friends, and again, I hope my friends know that even if I'm not in their other films, like all the work he and Tracy are doing, which is amazing, I'm so proud of them. Like I said, I support it completely. When you're in my heart and you're my friend, and I don't use that word loosely here in Hollywood, you know, that it doesn't matter if we work together or not. Like, you're my friend and you're my friend for life. And Neil's one of those people. And again, not just because we have him in common, but I sincerely can say that, like, such a dear friend in my life, and I respect him so much and everything he's committed to as an artist and as a director and a filmmaker. And what I love so much about him and all of his films, and you'll see this with his newer films too, with Tracy starring, is that they write such powerful roles for women, and so the antithesis of the typical Hollywood, weak role for a woman. So I respect and admire that greatly, and I really tend again to gravitate toward scripts, projects, directors who have that vision.
Yeah, listen, I've taken so much of your time. We've gone over an hour, which is just like, it seems like 2 minutes, honestly God. We've got to do this again because there's so much more I wanted to talk to you about, but all your philanthropic work that you do, and there's tons of stuff that I could still talk about, and loads of films yet. I'll leave it at that for now. I've got to say, I'm a big fan. I mean, I love the fact that you're an authentic, powerful, gorgeous actress, but also as well, you're authentic. You've got balls. You've got presence. It's great. And I love the fact that you do all this other stuff as well. So listen, you have a great 2018. Hopefully, we'll speak again. And you just take care, and thanks for your time. I do appreciate it.
So much, Stuart, and all the viewers and listeners. Thank you.
You take care.
Go Bye.
Bye. Take care. Have a great day.
Take care, hon.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.